Hello, warm greetings from Cyprus. I thought today you might like to see how I plan my garden.
So this page is my first row of hugels. Now, as you can see, we have an R here. This is because this is done only with straw, this bed, so this is a Ruth Stout. But the rest have an H, which is for the hugel beds. And then I've got some little notes. For example, this one says twigs because I haven't quite decided what I'm doing that bed. And a note here to say that I grew my old potatoes here last time, and a note here to say this one's a flat hugel, just so I don't have to keep going up that end to see the hugel beds when I'm planning what to plant out where. And then I have post-it notes here to say what's already growing in there. So we have onions here, broccoli here. This is a little note to say it's a tall hugel bed. And then here, this is where I'm just starting to plant out my watermelons and yellow melons. So that's the first run of the hugel beds. So here I've got a little post-it note just to say what I'd like to plant in this hugel bed. So this will be possibly my new sweet corn. Then we go on to the next page. I did this before last year, but I have loads more hugel beds and Ruth's beds, so I had to redo it. So I thought I'd like to show you how I do it. So as you can see, this page is the last section towards my old driveway gate. And I'll go and show you the pictures of these after, so you get a clear idea of where they are. So again, on this page, they have the R's for the Ruth Stout method, which is only the straw or hay. And then we have H's where the hugel, which means it's got rotted wood or tree trunks, branches, that kind of thing in them. This one, as you can see, already has my broccoli. This one was where I grew the tomatoes that I left to go wild, so I'm going to keep that as a tomato bed. And then I've got little notes to say this Ruth Stout bed is wide. And then I've started to put in here, and we'll add to peppers and Mexican chilies, onions. These are onions that I've split that I was previously growing. So they're in those divided up. And then this will be chili and some more tomatoes. I grew tomatoes here last year, and peppers. And then you can see I have a note here where I'm considering growing my new chard in the Ruth Stout wide bed. So let me go and show you where these two pages of the Ruth Stout and hugel beds are, just to clarify. And the second page, page 3 is the mini apple orchard area, and here I've put letters where the trees are, For example, A for apple, and then we have P for pomegranate, we have L for the lemon tree. There is an olive tree as well, way over this side, but I don't need to put that in. And then A for apple, F for fig, A for apple, F for fig, etc. Now in this area I've drawn circles, and the circles are the growing areas that aren't beds. That's Colin. Can you hear Colin? Because I'm on the table over the chair that he's trying to sleep on. So the round ones are predetermined areas rather than beds. Oh, he's on the table now. Hello, Colin. What are you doing on here? What are you doing? Yes, you've learnt that off of Pebbles to dive bomb the videos. Come on, off the table. So, as I said, these are predetermined growing areas. So the T's represent where we've buried tyres. The B's are where we've cut up dustbins and planted those. So you can see we've got a mixture of tyres and bins buried to grow in, and the P's are pots. There's one there, and there's also another pot right down the front corner over here. And then there is a Ruth Stout big bed here where I had grown potatoes. They still aren't dug up at this point. And then, as you can see, in this pot is already Mexican chilies. These I'm using aren't post-it notes here. These are, I don't know what you call them. They're little tabs that have got little sticky like a post-it note that you use to mark pages when you're studying, that kind of thing, into books. So you can write on those. So that's Mexican chilies. And the only other thing, again, where I've been splitting onions, I have put some in this bin here. So let's take a quick look at this area. hope that made a little bit more sense of that area. And now on to the next page. This one's easy to understand. This is basically the 4 new raised beds. As you'll note, the very last one over here actually goes horizontal, not vertical, hence why I put the arrow at the top and bottom to know which way up I'm going to plant, which side of the bed will be which for planting. And at the moment I've just put what's going to go in the bed. I'm contemplating my new beetroot to go in there, the first one. I'm contemplating the carrot seeds I've got new from Jandera channel, YouTube channel. I'm considering planting those in there. You should always plant those with onions. Well, I'm going to put in the next lot of onions that are growing in my cake boxes, and that should stop any carrot fly. So they're going to go in there. And then this one, I'm going to plant out it's rosa lettuce. It's like the red, kind of curly looking one. I'm going to plant those in there, and I'm actually thinking about planting those indoors first, start them off. So that's probably my next project. And as yet, nothing considered for large bed. That's one, that's the one that's horizontal. 2, 3, the longer one. Now this next page, the very large rectangle at the top, if you can see it, basically I've got an R there because it's going to be Ruth Stout method, which is just straw and hay. Now this bed was the large double bed where I grew potatoes, and it's the bed where I told you it was couch and all overgrown. Then I grew broccoli in it, the couch returned. I've then used ash from the fire after digging out as much couch as I can, but I've now started actually putting metal sheets down just to make sure that couch doesn't return, and I'm going to completely make it straw and hay. I've been digging out, haven't quite finished yet because there's still a few potatoes left to finish digging out and filming tomorrow. So this is going to be all straw and hay, but it's got metal underneath to counteract any further couch that may appear. So I have no plans for that, but in a minute when I show you it's a right mess because I'm still digging it out and putting in the straw and hay. I have actually put a bit of cardboard in, to be honest, and some old pallets we had left, so it's not 100% Ruth Stout, but it will be in time. And then towards the house up from this, we have our row of main tyre growing. These are raised tyres, and as you can see they've got the team for tyres. I've already got Mexican chilies in this one, peppers in this one, garlic I've just replanted in that one. The next 2 are empty, but I grew tomatoes in there before, so these are going to be different varieties of tomatoes. And then Mexican chili in this one I've already got. If there's a marker in it, it's already in. And peppers in that one. We've now salvaged more toilet cisterns. We had, I think, 2, possibly 3, and now we've got some more, and these are perfect to put my cat bags in. And I'm going to use these all for tomatoes, but keeping in cat bags. I think this one actually has earth in with one still from last year. So these are all going to be the toilet cisterns. You'll see now I've got a goat feeder. This was found on our land when we first moved in. I kept putting it different places. It used to be in front of one of the baths, and then we took it away from there because I couldn't access the bath very well, but we found a permanent home for it here. This again is great for holding the cat bags. I don't want to mess about with it. I like it as it is, and an orange tree in a tie there. So let's show you these areas. So as I say, excuse the mess of this large bed, but that's work in progress. So here's that messy bed I'm digging out. As you can see, it's a right mess at the minute, but it's very vast, and we have 2 drains running into it. So it's silly not to use it for growing. I don't think I'm going to go all the way this way. As far as it went, I might keep a little path between the artichokes, and we've got a pepper tire there actually I haven't marked in, but that's always going to be a good pepper in there. You can just about see that behind the flowers of the broccoli that I'm leaving to seed. And here are the main tires. And the last page. This will make more sense when you see it. We have the 2 baths. This one's asparagus and peppers. We have the bath next to it, which is Mexican chilies. We have a bed in front of it, which is Mexican chilies. I'm contemplating here the new asparagus in this bed. I think that will go well with these. And then this is where my 2 rabbit cages are, where I grow things and start things off outside, because then the birds don't get them. I don't know if I'm going to label what's in there, probably not, but that's so I know, get my bearings. This is what I call my mixed veg bed. It's basically the first growing area I ever had here, so all sorts just went in there. And we have chard, broccoli, and then this is where I've just planted out my yellow melons grown in my indoor garden, same with the watermelon and same with the onions. So they're growing there at the moment. And then next to these areas you walk through, and then we have the big horseshoe bed, which basically I've just left really to broccoli, and there are a few onions in there. So for now that's just being left as it is. So to make sense of it, I'll show it the way I've shown you on the drawing, and then we'll do it from the other direction. So that's bath 1. second bath, bath 2 with the Mexican chilies. Well, I hope that's helped you make some sense of what's going on here. If you see anything that I've said I'm considering growing in certain areas and you're like, don't grow it there, please put that in the comments below. I always appreciate your help and advice, particularly for things I haven't grown before. Until next time, Meraki.